The shower is running. The water is hot. The steam is thick. And somehow you're already in an argument. Your heart is racing. Your jaw is tight. You just delivered the perfect line. The one that finally exposes their hypocrisy. The one that leaves them speechless. It's sharp. It's undeniable. But you're alone in a bathroom. The person you're yelling at in your head is probably making coffee. Or scrolling through their phone. Completely unaware that they are currently being dismantled in your mental courtroom. It's a strange habit, isn't it? This tendency to draft scripts for battles that haven't been declared. You aren't a high-conflict person. In fact, most people think you're pretty easygoing. You're the one who nods. The one who keeps the peace. The one who lets the small things slide. But inside, the archive is growing. Every time you've let it go in the real world, you didn't actually drop it. You just moved the venue. You took that tiny spark of irritation and brought it home. Where it's safe to let it grow into a forest fire. Think about the last time this happened. Maybe it started with a comment from a coworker. Something subtle. A tone that felt slightly dismissive. At the moment, you just smiled. You moved on. But then, an hour later, while you're driving, the thought bubbles up. Why did they say it like that? Suddenly, the simulation starts. You replay the moment. But this time, you don't smile. This time, you ask them what they meant by that. And in your head, they get defensive. They say something even worse. Now, you're justified. Now, the gloves are off. Within 5 minutes, you've projected an entire 3-act drama. A world where they've insulted your character. And you defended your honor with the eloquence of a trial lawyer. You're not just thinking, you're practicing. You're bracing for a blow that hasn't been swung yet. Here's the thing about these mental rehearsals. They feel like preparation. But they're actually attacks. You're paying for a conflict with your own adrenaline. Before the bill has even arrived. You're sitting on your couch. Supposedly relaxing. But your body doesn't know the difference between a real threat and a narrated one. Your breath is shallow. Your shoulders are up to your ears. You've successfully hijacked your own nervous system for a hypothetical scenario. And let's face it. You're usually the hero in these scripts. Or at the very least, you're finally the one who is understood. That's what's really happening under the surface. These fake arguments aren't just about being angry. They're about being heard. In your head, you finally have the floor. In your head, the other person is forced to listen to your perspective. Until they finally say, "You're right. I see it now." It's a search for a resolution. One that you're too afraid or too exhausted to seek in person. We do this because the real world is messy. In the real world, people interrupt. They don't follow the script. They don't give you the satisfaction of a clean ending. But in the theater of your mind, you have total control over the dialogue. You can ensure the logic is airtight. You can make sure your point is finally seen. But notice how it leaves you feeling. When the argument ends and you snap back to reality, do you feel lighter? Or do you feel a lingering bitterness toward a person for things they only said in your imagination? This is where it gets interesting. You start to treat the simulation as if it's evidence. You walk into the room with that person the next day. And you're already cold. You're already guarded. They haven't done anything yet today. But in your mind, you two just had a massive blowout. You're reacting to a ghost. It's a protective mechanism, in a way. You're trying to eliminate the element of surprise. If you've already fought the battle 1,000 times, you can't be caught off guard when it finally happens. You're building armor out of hypothetical sentences. But armor is heavy. And after a while, you realize you're wearing it to go to sleep. You're wearing it to eat dinner. You might notice a specific pattern to the loops. They usually happen when you feel powerless. In a relationship. In a situation. The louder the internal argument, the quieter your real-world voice has become. The fake fight is a pressure valve. For all the things you're swallowing during the day. But there's a subtle shift that happens when you catch yourself doing it. Next time you're halfway through a devastating monologue. While you're brushing your teeth. Just look at yourself in the mirror. Look at the tension in your face. Ask yourself, who am I trying to convince right now? Usually, it's not them. It's you. You're trying to convince yourself that your feelings are valid. You're building a case because you don't quite believe you're allowed to feel hurt. Not without a mountain of evidence. And a perfect closing argument. You're trying to prove to yourself that you have the right to be upset. But what if you didn't need the evidence? What if you just were upset? Notice how the air changes when you stop the script mid-sentence. It's uncomfortably quiet at first. The other person in your head vanishes. And you're just left with the raw emotion. The one that triggered the fight in the first place. It's usually something much smaller. Much more vulnerable than the argument suggested. It's not "I hate how you always undermine my authority." It's usually just, "That hurt my feelings." But "that hurt my feelings" is a terrifying thing to say out loud. It's much easier to imagine a 20-minute debate about professional boundaries. The fake argument is a distraction from the simple, uncomfortable truth of how you feel. So, the loop continues. You find yourself drifting back into it while you're waiting for the microwave. You start to refine the third point of your argument. You think of a better comeback. And then you catch it again. This is the work. It's not about never having the thoughts. It's about realizing that you're the one writing them. You are the director, the actor, and the audience. You can just leave the theater. You can let the other person be wrong in your head, without needing to correct them. You can let the comment hang in the air, without building a monument to it. It's a strange kind of freedom. Realizing that you don't have to win an argument that isn't actually happening. You can just be in the room. You can just be in the shower. You can just be driving. But even as you realize this, you'll probably find your mind wandering back to that one person. The one who really gets under your skin. The one who always seems to have the last word. You'll think of one more thing you should have said. Something really biting. Something that would have changed everything. Your heart rate starts to climb again. Your hands tighten on the steering wheel. Are you going to let them speak first? Or are you going to start the scene from the beginning?